We opened in 1987 as an Exchange Club Center to basically to take the Exchange Club's model of Exchange Parent Aid and put it into this community.
Okay.
Exchange Parent Aid is a program that is national, evidence-based in the California Clearinghouse that is an in-home visitation model to prevent child abuse and neglect. So we adopted that model and opened in 1987, and we are still doing that today. Exchange Parent Aid is our bread and butter. It's kind of our flagship program.
That's cool.
And we go into the home weekly, meet with families to help give them those positive parenting skills.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Community Spotlight. I'm Paramedic Ron with WAME Radio, and today I've got on Miss Tonya Fowler with Pharos Parenting.
Hello.
So how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Or actually this afternoon, technically, because we pre-record this. So for those that don't know, think that it's live. It's not. So I thought that I would bring you on because I've heard a lot about what Pharos does through the radio station and through working with WAME.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't know what Pharos is.
Right.
And first off, how did you get involved in this organization?
Well, it was kind of, it's a God wink, I guess, in a way. I had been working in nonprofits for years, probably for 15 years, and decided I was going to try something new and went to more of a corporate, for-profit job. And about 6 months in, I realized...
Not for you.
Not for me. I think that you either have people with the passion to work for nonprofits and know that you're going to have to deal with all of the things that you have to deal with in the nonprofit world, and that's just their passion, or people that can't handle that.
Right.
And I am definitely one of those people that I need to wake up and put my feet on the floor every day knowing that I'm going to go make a difference for somebody,
right?
And not just put money in somebody else's pocket. So I, about 6 months into this other job, kind of lamented to some friends that I needed to find something else. I needed to get back into the nonprofit world. And one of my friends was on the board for SCAN at that time.
Okay.
And said, we're actually hiring, and kind of encouraged me to apply for a development director position.
Okay.
So I started as development director in December of 2019.
Oh, wow. So you've been with them for a little while.
Yes. So in March of 2020, everything shut down and there was very little development happening. Of course, because of COVID. So
that had to be scary for you then.
It was because I had just, started and really had to, the whole organization, it was scary for the whole organization,
right?
Not just for me, as it was for the whole world, really. But so we just shifted and really focused on how can we raise funds when we can't really have a gathering, and you can't get in to talk to people. And it was unique, but we kind of pivoted and did some different things and made it work. And we were still serving folks. We were meeting.
Right.
We couldn't have group parenting classes, but we were doing virtual classes. We were meeting people on their front porch instead of in their home, doing a lot of video calls and that kind of thing. And we made it work until things kind of were able to open back up. But in the middle of this, our executive director, Amy Isley, who had been with us for 30 years at that point and 20 years as the executive director, announced her retirement in July of 2020. And so the board asked me to step in as interim for 6 months, and 6 years later, I'm still here. So not interim anymore.
That interim quickly faded into more than just interim.
It did. So that's how I ended up there. But people, you wonder what you want to be when you grow up, and you never say, I think I want to be the executive director of a nonprofit child abuse prevention agency.
Right.
But I truly love what I do. I love my job. I love the organization. I love the team that I get to work with and the people that I work with every day. I can't imagine doing anything else now. So this is my dream job.
And to work in a nonprofit, you have to love what you do.
You do. You absolutely
because it's not for profit. There's no money to be made.
You're exactly right. And it's stressful and it changes, daily.
Yeah.
Nothing is for sure. And so it's you can panic one day and and cheer and celebrate a victory another day, and go home in tears the next.
Right.
And it's a constant roller coaster, but I can't imagine doing anything else.
But that's good. And you have a smile on your face whenever you talk about it.
I do.
That's
because
even whenever we were talking off air, it wasn't just because the camera started rolling, you started smiling and talking about it. You were initially, whenever we started talking about things, you had this biggest smile on your face of how much you could care about and have the compassion for it.
And I think that's, no one has ever said that to me before, but you just kind of encapsulated it exactly, because I really do love what I do, and I love the organization.
That's awesome. And you said that the former executive director had been doing it for 30 years. So
yes.
how long has, well, it was obvious, we know it used to be something else. It used to be SCAN.
Yes.
So
yes.
SCAN stood for what?
So SCAN stood for Stop Child Abuse Now.
Okay.
And we opened, okay, so let me back up for a minute. To this day, has never changed. And our legal name is the Exchange Club Center for the Prevention of Child Abuse of Iredell County, Inc.
Okay.
So that's always what we've been legally. We have been doing business as SCAN since 1987 when we opened, obviously because that name was really long. So SCAN, or Stop Child Abuse Now, was kind of what we did business as.
Easier to put on a T-shirt.
A lot easier, yes, exactly. And way easier to answer the phone.
Yeah.
So we opened in 1987 as an Exchange Club Center to basically to take the Exchange Club's model of Exchange Parent Aid and put it into this community.
Okay.
Exchange Parent Aid is a program that is national, evidence-based in the California Clearinghouse, that is an in-home visitation model to prevent child abuse and neglect.
Okay.
So when that model was created in the 70s, and then they started implementing centers across the nation to put that model into communities. And we were one of the first few opened in the 80s. We were in 1987. Winston-Salem opened in 1983, just before us.
Just before.
Yeah.
So that's where the exchange clubs all come from.
Exactly. So
that just taught me something I didn't know.
So Exchange Club is a civil or civic organization or club that goes out and does things for the community, and they have 4 main programs of service.
Okay.
Americanism, community service, youth, and then their national project is child abuse prevention.
All right.
So they have exchange clubs all over the nation. We have 6 kind of in this area. We've got Troutman, 3 in Mooresville. We've got North Mecklenburg and Denver.
Okay.
And so not one in the Statesville, but 3 in
Iredell County.
Mm-hmm. In Iredell County, exactly, or 4 in Iredell County, 3 in Mooresville and 1 in Troutman.
Oh, there's 3 in Mooresville.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that exchange club developed the national project of child abuse prevention in the 70s, and then they basically created this model to kind of promote that child abuse prevention and really push that into communities.
Okay.
So we adopted that model and opened in 1987, and we are still doing that today. Exchange Parent Aid is our bread and butter. It's kind of our flagship program.
That's cool.
And we go into the home weekly, meet with families to help give them those positive parenting skills, and kind of hold them accountable, have that dependability of weekly visits. And in the middle of those weekly visits, we have phone calls and text messages to kind of catch up and check in and make sure they're doing what we talked about. And if they find themselves in a crisis in the middle of that week, they can call their parent aid, and the parent aid can help talk them down. So even if it's at 10 o'clock at night and they're having
awesome.
a meltdown or a tantrum and they don't know what else to do, they can call their parent aid, and the parent aid can kind of help find calmness to get them through that.
Right.
So there's support throughout the week, not just at the weekly visits.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
because it is more than just that one day a week thing that they're going to need something.
Absolutely.
So, you were talking about the parent aid.
Yes.
The parent aides, are they volunteers or are they paid staff?
They are paid staff.
Okay.
For us, so we have 4 parent aides as part of our organization, and in different centers like ours across the nation. Some are larger, some are smaller,
Right.
you know, so we're like Winston-Salem is much larger than us. They serve a, you know, larger area, obviously, but we do have 4 that work very, very hard. And we have, I really, when you look at the impact numbers every year, we have made some serious impact to be such a small staff.
That's
like,
good,
it's
though.
impressive to me even. It's like, sometimes I'm like, wow, you know, we had over 1,000 in-home visits last year. Like, we were in homes over 1,000 times last year for such a small staff.
And those 4 are the ones that go for those in-home visits.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so we have 4 parent aides that are professionally trained. They are trained in parent aid and a ton of other curriculums, for everything from triple P to nurturing parenting to love and logic, darkness to light. You know, they do trainings constantly, different curriculums that they can kind of pull from when they're in the home.
Okay.
To sort of determine when they're in there, they can determine what that family needs the most. So
which one of those they benefit from.
Exactly. So it's almost like a file cabinet that they're like, okay, so I see what's happening after they take it in, and they can say this family's going to benefit best from this plan, you know. And so they can walk them through that and give them that education for whatever. So it's very customized to the family. And
so it's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Not at all.
They go in there and assess and say, hey, this is what works for you. This is what might work for you.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it so successful, Parent Aid, because it's not a curriculum where we go in and say, well, it's week 1 and we're going to do this, and now it's week 2 and this is what we're learning today.
Yeah.
Every family is very different, and every child can be different in the same family.
Right.
And so what works for one is not necessarily going to work for another. So they don't fit in a box. And we're able to kind of customize each individual issue with what works best.
You might have one problem with one kid, and you might have another problem with another kid.
Right.
That's totally different things.
Right. And one child might respond to one form of discipline or punishment, whereas another child won't. And so we have to come up with something, find their trigger that they will respond to.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes it so successful, is that it's personalized for every family, and there is no time frame. There is no time limit. So we can work with a family, 2 years if need be, for them to reach their goals.
Right.
And our average case is about 14 months.
Okay.
So we work with a family for a really long time to be
Just
able
over
to
a year,
reach those goals every single week, and we're able to develop trust and develop a relationship with them and really make sure that we've broken those bad habits and created new, healthier habits in their home. So that takes time to do that.
Right.
You can't just be in and out in 12 weeks and expect to have done all of that. So
you're not going to look at somebody and walk in there and say, okay, this is what you need to stop doing. And then the next week they stop doing it.
They stop doing it, right? Because it's easy. It's just like trying to, quit smoking or quit drinking.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall back into those habits when things get tough. And so with us there, kind of holding them accountable every week and giving them the tools, but making sure that they're using those tools for a long period of time, we help break those habits and ultimately we hope break cycles. Whether it's abuse, neglect, poverty, we work on breaking those cycles. And that's kind of what I have neglected to say, is sometimes when we get into those homes, it's not just parenting skills we're working on. Sometimes it's life skills that we're trying to teach them. We sit down and do budgeting, with them to make sure that they aren't running out of money before the end of the month.
So that you can still feed kids, you can still feed yourself, you can still do the things that you need to do.
Exactly.
Keep the power on.
We talk to them about, healthy eating for their children. Instead of giving them Skittles and Pop-Tarts, let's talk about what's going to feed their body and their mind, but also allow you to save some money, along the way. So we are really giving them life skills in addition to just parenting skills.
That's awesome.
And some, obviously, every family doesn't fit in a box, and some need that more than others.
Right.
Which is why some cases are longer than others. We may go in to have a family that already does very healthy eating and has limited screen time, and we don't have to address those things. So we're just maybe targeting certain behavior issues they're having, and they get those skills in and out, and we're done in 3 months. and that's fine, so every family's different.
But that's probably more of the few and far between than the other.
It is. And sometimes the family thinks that it's that. And once we get in there, they realize that there's a lot more that we could help them with. And so they're like, wait, no, we don't want you to go yet. Please stay. Please help us with this.
We still need you.
Right. And when you say we're going to come in and do this and help you and make your home calmer and make help your kids behave better and make you less stressed, and we're going to do it for free.
Yeah.
We get a lot of parents that are like, I don't believe you, right?
I'm questionable on that.
Right. It seems too good to be true. And it does seem too good to be true, but in this case, it truly is. That is exactly the case. It is completely free. We don't charge anything. There's no, requirements that you
That's
need
awesome.
to be free. If you have children in your home part-time, then at least part of the time, then we'll come in and do this at no cost to you. And so sometimes they're like, well, we'll see how this goes. And they're like, oh, no, you really mean it's free and you're really helping me. So please stay.
We want you to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and one of the things I asked before we went on video was, do you guys help foster parents? And you kind of informed me of things that I had no clue about.
Right.
Which was great. But you said that that's the reason y'all switched from SCAN, which was Stop Child Abuse Now,
yes,
to Pharos.
Yes. So while that is still at the heart of what we do and our mission is child abuse prevention, we know that as SCAN, and for the first 30-some years that we were in this community, we were mostly helping folks that already had some sort of case open with DSS or the court system. And so while we were preventing further abuse, we were still tertiary. We were still more intervention.
Right.
And we wanted to shift our focus truly to be prevention. And in order to do that, we had to get child abuse out of our name because we didn't want folks that needed help or wanted help and wanted to be a better parent, wanted to break the cycle of abuse that they came from, to feel like they were accused before they ever even walked in our door.
To think that it was just about child abuse and that was the reason they were there. And
exactly. So what we wanted to be and what our mission truly talks about is just to be a parenting center and help any parent that wants to be a better parent.
Okay.
And in that, we hope to break those cycles. When you become a parent, you do what you learned.
Exactly.
And if you don't know any other way, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Like you're going to fall into those habits
you're gonna just fall right
of what
into
your parents did.
Because you learned it. That's what was modeled for you.
Yeah.
So we wanted to give those parents a chance to change that without feeling like they were bad people, without feeling like they were already being accused of abuse.
Just because they're walking in the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we changed our name, or our doing business as name, to Pharos, which is Greek for lighthouse. And we like that imagery because we wanted to be a guiding light and kind of a beacon for parents that are struggling. And
come,
what parent
come to us, let us help you.
Exactly. And what parent doesn't struggle? Let's be honest. Parenting is hard.
Yeah.
It is the hardest job, and everybody at some point has just been like, I don't know what else to do. I'm done. Exactly. So, and I love our clinical director, Lori, said to me years ago when I first started, she said, it's kind of like driving a car. You can have a good car that works and is reliable and gets you from point A to point B, and it does the job.
Right.
But you can always drive a better car.
With more options and more things.
Yes, and maybe has better gas mileage and more safety features. And that's kind of how parenting is, right? Like you can be a good parent that gets your child from point A to point B, but you can always, every one of us can be a better parent.
Yes.
And so we wanted to have that option for parents without feeling embarrassed or accused. So Pharos is that lighthouse in the community for all families, parents, or caregivers. To your point, it's not just biological parents. So we work with foster parents that are struggling maybe with a behavior issue, or I've never had a 10-year-old. or 13-year-old, and suddenly they're talking back, and I don't know how to, and nothing I take from them seems to work. And so we can kind of help give you some ideas and find what makes them tick, so that you can figure out why. There's always a reason for their behavior. So sometimes figuring out that reason is the key.
And it could be trauma. It could be something attention seeking.
Yeah, there's so many reasons. So we can help with that. And so foster parents come to us. We've had plenty of grandparents that have found themselves in custody of their grandchildren, or grandparents that are primary caregivers during the day while parents are at work. And parenting is very different now than it was when they were parents.
Yes.
So they have no idea what they're doing with social media and online presence and gaming and iPads, and they don't know what has changed. They don't know that you can't put a baby in a crib with bumpers anymore, right? Like, my children had bumpers in their cribs because that's what you were supposed to do. Now you're not. It changes.
Well, now you're not supposed to have anything in the crib, right?
Right.
Which is good to know for future.
Exactly. So grandparents will often take our classes just to make sure they have all the most recent information. And, but grandparents and then step parents. So one example that I give is, and I think this shows fantastic parenting. As a gentleman came and took our classes who was very seriously dating and engaged to a woman with children, but he had never had children himself. So he was not comfortable being in a father figure role. And if they were going to be married and he was going to be a stepfather, he wanted to have those skills going into that marriage. How wonderful is that?
I don't know who you are, but that's awesome.
Yeah. That is so amazing.
Just to take that role and say, hey, I want to be better before I even start.
That's it. And so he came and took our parenting class and was able to go in feeling more confident of how he was going to parent and where he maybe needed to not parent. There was that piece of it as well.
Because that's important too.
Parent. Yes. So it really is for anybody, any caregiver or parent that's out there in the community.
That's awesome. So one of the things that you were talking about a minute ago was the classes themselves for the grandparents. Is that something that y'all come out and help with to their home, or is that something that they come to you?
Good question. So I've talked a little bit about Parent Aid, and that is our flagship and bread and butter, as I said, which we go into the home. Mm-hmm. We also have group parenting classes that we hold at our facility.
Okay.
There on Davie Avenue in Statesville. And we've also gone into the community and other places to hold classes. So this summer, we're actually having one of our classes in Mooresville at Feed and See. Okay. So we're going to be, promoting that soon. But that way, if anybody lives in the southern end of the county, they don't have to drive all the way up to Statesville. And so we do that periodically in the community. But these are group classes. They're 10 weeks, and they're also free to attend, and anybody can attend these. We have parents and their partners will come, together as groups or as a couple, and we have, like I said, grandparents. I mean, they're free to anyone. So we have 7 different classes that we offer throughout the year. Some that are more regularly always kind of scheduled, and then some, like in summer, we run more of a skeleton schedule because people are busy. We don't have as good of a turnout. So starting in the fall, we'll get back to like a full schedule. But the classes range depending on like what that family might need. So we have one for, we have a best beginnings class for new and expecting parents. Okay. We have a class for tots and toddlers. So those terrible 2s or terrible 3s. And my kids were always worse in their 3s than they were their 2s. Yeah.
I've heard that a lot. It kind of happens right at the end of the 2 into the 3 time frame.
Oh, yeah. That, like 3-nager, they call them 3-nagers. I definitely had 3-nagers. So we have a class for tots and toddlers, and then we have our nurturing parenting, Parent Like a Pro class is what we call it. So that's kind of a generic, all ages, all those basic skills. And then Love and Logic for older kids. We have a class for just dads, 24/7 dad. We have a class for co-parenting, which is, so important.
Got broken home.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Learning how to put that child first. And that's hard, because when you're so angry at the other person sometimes for things they've done wrong, and rightly so, many times it's rightly, you have a right to be angry. It's really hard to put that child first and put yourself aside.
Yes.
So we kind of teach that, and we
put the kids first.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But there's a lot more to it than just that.
Well,
but that's essentially
it helps you do that.
Exactly. So co-parenting, and then we offer Love and Logic in Spanish as well. So if we have any Spanish-speaking families, we have something for them. And then I'm missing something, and I can't think of what it is. I think, let's see, Best Beginnings, Tots and Toddlers, Nurturing Parenting, Love and Logic, 24/7 Dad, co-parenting, and I can't remember the other stuff. I'm missing.
There's another one, but I can't think of what it is.
Yeah, I should have had my list in front of me. But anyway, something for everybody, truly, and typically they start the same week and end the same week, so we kind of stay on that rotation. So if you call us and say, "I really need a parenting class," we talk with you and figure out where your best. I just remembered what it was. It is families in treatment and recovery from substance abuse.
Okay.
So parenting looks different for families that have been through treatment through substance abuse. And so that is very much an introspective class. And it's kind of a starter. Maybe after you've come out of recovery, you might take this class as a starter to kind of get that introspective view of
what's next.
Exactly. And you've been numb for so long that getting used to feelings again and understanding empathy kind of you start all over, after you've been through recovery. And so it's good for people that are in treatment and recovery, but also for spouses of those that have been through treatment and recovery, so that you understand what your spouse is going through. So it's a great
because that
class.
can be a tough thing too for this. I mean, the spouse that's seeing everything.
Yes.
And they're trying to
empathize.
Maybe continue a relationship or get back into a relationship with these people.
Exactly.
And they're trying to get over that, and the empathy that they need to have for that is going to be
very different.
Very different.
Yes.
And tough.
So we have that class that usually is like a starter class, and then after they take that, they move to one of our skills-based class that's more like our Parent Like a Pro or Love and Logic.
Yeah.
So then they're able to really get those skills down. But first it's kind of getting connected with themselves again after coming out of treatment and recovery. So. But anyway, so if we have someone who's interested, they'll call us and we'll ask a few questions. How old are your kids? What are the situations you're dealing with? And then we can kind of figure out what's the best class to place them in.
Which class do we need to put you in?
Exactly. And since they start and end the same week, the difference really is only the day of the week and maybe the time. And so if they can't make something work, we'll find one that does. But we start with we think this may be the best option for you. We have so many folks that will take multiple classes. They finish one and they're like, sign me up for the next one. They love it.
That's cool.
Love it because it's the one time of the week that they can come and it's almost like therapy for them. They get to commiserate with other parents that are going through the same things. They try the skills and then they come back and they're excited to say, this is what I did. It worked. Or this didn't work. What else can I do?
Right.
And they look forward to those classes. So we get to week 10 and they're like, I don't really want it to end.
What are we doing next week? I know we're not in class.
Yeah, what's the next class that I can sign up for? And I think that speaks volumes to the impact that the classes have because they don't want to leave us. They truly don't want to leave us.
Well, and it sounds like it helps a lot for those parents because so I may go in there and have an issue with a kid, and then this other parent's I've tried this and this is what's worked for mine. Maybe it'll work for yours. That's
exactly what happens. Is they start sharing stories and they say they bounce ideas off of each other, and we have our facilitator or the teacher can give some feedback and like that's a great idea or something to try, maybe I wouldn't do that one. I can't say that I condone that.
Don't go hanging them upside down by their toes or anything.
Don't tell them to go play in the street. So they're there to guide and make sure that the ideas are safe and the best option for the family. But I think what the biggest thing, and I hate to say this, but especially for men,
right?
Women will stand in a grocery line with a total stranger and lament about how hard parenting is. If you find two moms that both have 3-year-olds that are pitching fits at the checkout counter because they want gum or candy, they can connect and say, oh gosh, this is the hardest stage I've ever been through. And how's your sleeping at night? And, they'll connect with any other mom about how hard parenting is.
Right.
Fathers never do that. They don't go to work and talk about how difficult bedtime routine was with their toddler the night
before.
Or how they had a screaming match with their preteen the night before. They don't do that. They bottle it up and they keep it inside. That's what men do. And
then you get to the point of where you're talking about before where they just blow up.
When they come into the parenting class and suddenly there's other dads, especially in our 24/7 dad class, but even in our regular classes, it's co-ed, so other dads and moms in there are opening up and talking about the struggles that they have. They realize they're not alone. They realize that dad feels the same way I do. Maybe their daughter is connected with mom and they feel like an outsider. And they're like, oh, I feel the same way. And then they're able to talk openly about that and we can give suggestions. And mom goes, I never knew you felt that way. Now mom is on board with trying to make sure dad and daughter have alone time and have daddy-daughter dates. And there's so much that can come out in those classes. And people realize they're not alone.
Right.
So it's such good therapy. Like outside of the skills that you get, it's just a good.
And to be, just so that people know, there are not therapists there. This is just your own type of therapy.
Exactly, your own type of therapist, right? Or your own type of therapy in this group with other. It would be, like mom's day out, getting together and hang out. And what do you think moms do? Oh, I can tell you what moms do because I have that group. It's our time to
drink some wine and gossip.
That's right. Well, gossip and complain and moan, and then we go home with a smile on our face and we feel better.
Exactly.
But our dads don't necessarily have that. So, and some moms don't either, to be truthful. Right. I mean, part of what we work on in the home is developing a social support group or a social support system for the family. Because if they have no grandparent, their parents don't live nearby, they don't have aunts and uncles or friends or neighbors that they can rely on for support when they need it, that can be damning for a lot of families, honestly.
Well, and it takes me back to the saying, it takes a village. And in that situation, if you don't have that person that you can call on and say, hey, can you watch them for a few minutes while I go take a break? I mean, a lot of people say that taking a break from your kids is not a good thing because you don't want to take a break. It's your kids. But you need a break.
You need to. You absolutely need a break because you've heard women, I know, have heard it said, it goes for men too, though. You can't give if you're not refilling your own cup. Like you can't give anything back.
You can't pour out from an empty cup.
Right. So you have to take that time to take care of you so that you can be a better person for everyone around you. And I remember my middle child was colicky.
It's always the middle one.
It is always the middle one.
Can you guess which child I was?
She was so colicky and cried all night long. And she hated the car seat, so it didn't matter if you were driving 5 minutes or 45 minutes. She screamed at the top of her lungs the entire ride. And by the time I got to where I was going, my nerves were fried. I was frazzled, and I was at a constant boil with her because she just cried constantly. Right. If I didn't take breaks, I don't know what would have happened. Like, honestly,
Right.
I needed people to take her, and in the middle of the night, my, husband would get up and take her so that I could walk to the end of our driveway, which was a really long ways away,
By
to
yourself.
the mailbox by myself to get away from the screaming.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear it anymore. Like, I was so at my wit's end. That's an experience every parent has probably at some point felt.
Yeah.
But I had a husband who could take her and give me that break. Not all people have that.
Yeah.
So we have to establish that for a lot of families in the beginning to have that social support. And these parenting classes sometimes end up being that for each other.
Right.
That is their social support.
Which is a good thing.
Yes. And we've had groups that have bonded so well and become friends and actually stayed friends after they left the class. So it's great. It's a wonderful, that is why I have such passion, back to the beginning
exactly.
about for what I do, because I get to see all these little victories for these families that they leave our facility or we leave their home and we know that they're better people because of what we just did, and they're better parents because of our impact on them.
Because of how you helped them.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to see that.
And so we've talked a little bit about where the classes are held, and we talked about the what was the
Parent aid.
Yeah, the parent aid. I wanted to say advocate for some reason.
Yeah.
I guess it works either way.
Yes, it does.
But also, so how do people get in touch with you? Because a lot of this information is great, but if they don't know where to get in touch with you.
Right. So we take referrals from anywhere and anybody. So we have a referral tab right on our website, pharosparenting.org, P-H-A-R-O-S, parenting.org. And you can self-refer. So we have a lot of folks that just say, I want to take a class, so they can put that in.
I need help.
I need help. You can go right there. You can give us a call and say, this is what I'm dealing with. How can I, what can you do? And we'll talk through, like I said, where are you at in your parenting journey? How old are your kids? Are you a single mom or single dad? Are you co-parenting? Like, we try to get that information so that we can make sure we're providing the best service for you. And it may be that in-home parent aid is what is best for you. It might be that you need to just start with a parenting class and see if implementing those skills,
how that works,
takes care of all your issues. And then, if not, then we can look at parent aid after that.
Okay.
So we'll just kind of talk through that. It's very, customized to what every family needs.
I like the fact that y'all do that. That's one of the biggest things that I'm going to remember about this whole conversation is that it's not like we're doing this in 6 weeks and this is what we're doing first week, second week, third week, fourth week.
Right.
You come out and if you, I've been catching clips of, I don't know if it's Super Nanny or whatever it is.
Yes.
But kind of like she sits back, and what I'm imagining with the parent aid is they kind of sit back, watch what happens and sees how things are going, and then they kind of, okay, that's what's happening. This is what we can try.
Right. I say all the time when I'm talking to groups, if you've ever seen Nanny 911 or Super Nanny, that is what we do.
I like it.
We're in the home. We kind of do in the moment training. First, we sit back and observe, and we let you tell us what's happening, and then we implement these changes.
Basically, if you've ever watched Super Nanny, and I don't know why, but it's just started popping up on my feed and Facebook, and I'm like, this is interesting.
It is. So that is really special, and I use this story from one of our parent aides, Susan. She tells this a lot. So she had gone in, so our parent aides are like kind of know what needs or what skills that family might need.
Right.
And a lot of our referrals do come from Department of Social Services. They may have a case open, and a lot of them aren't necessarily there yet. So we physicians will refer. We have therapists that will for schools. Like this family really is struggling, and they referred them over to us. So not necessarily all of them. Actually, I can give you 34% of our referrals come from DSS.
Okay.
And the rest of them all come from a variety of sources.
Okay. And it's not, and with whenever you mention schools and stuff, it's not that somebody is necessarily showing that they're abusing somebody. It's they're referring because they may be having some issues with a child.
Exactly.
And they're trying to stop something before it ever happens.
Yes, we have a lot of schools that say, we noticed this child has been absent a lot.
Okay.
We talked to the parent, and the parent said they are struggling getting them up and moving in the morning, and they missed the bus. So we told them that Pharos could come in and help set structure and discipline for if you miss the bus.
This is what happens.
This is what happens. Not just what the school does, but at home you're going to have consequences.
Right.
So we can kind of put that into place because a lot of homes just have never had a set routine or a set structure. So we help put that into place for them.
Yeah.
So that the child then learns to respect that routine and that structure. So, schools will refer and just say this organization can help you. It's not that we think you're doing anything wrong. You're not being a bad parent. You don't know what you don't know. And if you never had it modeled, then you don't know how to implement that. So we kind of help there. So, yes, it's not that we think you're a bad parent at all. So if they're complaining to the pediatrician that bedtimes take 3 hours every night, it's an up and down and up and down and up and down, and they won't stay in bed. The pediatrician says, I can help you, with this referral to Pharos Parenting. They can come in and help you set up a routine.
That'd be awesome.
Something like that. So, it doesn't mean that you're a bad parent if your pediatrician refers or your therapist or your school or anybody.
Yeah.
It just means you need help.
You could use some extra help.
And you could use that support. Exactly. So anyway, this particular situation, Susan goes into a home and she had a plan for what she was going to talk to mom about, what they were going to work on that day. So she had her notebook and her paperwork and everything, and she walks in and she could just see on mom's face that she was stressed and looked a little frazzled, and the morning routine had just, been a struggle.
Right.
And, her older kids were off to school, but she's had a couple of younger ones there too, but she was really stressed. So Susan said, what's going on? And the mom said, well, I know that DSS is coming today to do an inspection of my home. I cooked this huge meal last night with all these dishes, pots and pans and dessert, and it's all still in the sink and all over the counter. Haven't had a chance to clean it up, and now I have to work with you, and then they're going to be here, and I'm freaking out because my house is going to be a mess. So Susan put her notebook away, rolled up her sleeves, and helped this woman scrub and clean her kitchen from top to bottom, and that was all they did that day. She left. Mom was in a much better place. Her stress level was low. She felt good and confident about her house. So it doesn't always mean going in and teaching a skill.
Right.
We just do what that parent needs for that moment to feel better and to feel calmer. And so, she had a great visit and a great inspection with her social worker, and the next week they picked up and did the skill. So
what they needed to do with that.
Yeah.
That's
totally
awesome.
Customized. So
well, and that, it's one thing if they do that, if they were to have done that every time, that would be a whole different story.
Yes.
But if that one day she could tell that this was stressing her out, this was what needed to be done, let's just do it. That
was the support the mother needed that day.
Yeah.
Right? Just to have someone lend her a hand to get her house cleaned back up.
That's awesome.
So, it's a very unique and needed service.
Right.
I mean, I think it's, like I said, we are this exchange parent aid program that we use or model. The next closest place that has one is Winston-Salem.
Okay.
And then Albemarle and Durham. So it's very
Spread
rare.
out.
There's only 4 in the whole state of North Carolina, and there's about 60 in the country that offer this parent aid program. So we have a little gym
That's
here
awesome.
in Iredell County, so I think it's wonderful and
the best
unique.
part is it's offered for free.
Yep, there's no charge at all.
So obviously y'all have to pay for these parent aids.
Yes.
So how can people donate? What can they do to get you guys the finances to actually take care of these things?
So 91% of our budget it comes from community support.
Okay.
So it is a huge part of what we do is fundraising, both individual and corporate donations. I write a lot of grants, and then we have 4 major fundraisers every year that help us meet our budget needs.
One of those y'all used to do, and I'm thinking it was y'all. Was that y'all that did the pinwheel thing, or no?
We do Pinwheel Gardens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We don't. That wasn't technically a fundraiser. It was kind of a small one where we sold the Pinwheel Gardens.
Yeah.
And now we just kind of do that for the month of April for Child Abuse Prevention Month. Yeah. So we do a golf tournament in October at Trump National Golf Club.
Down in Mooresville.
Mm-hmm. We have our luncheon, our annual luncheon, which is an hour-long program where we get to kind of tell you all about what we do and share our numbers. We have some testimonies and that kind of thing. Feed you lunch, and we ask for a donation at the end of the luncheon. That's usually in February.
Okay.
And then we have a comedy show that we do at the Kane Center in Cornelius every August. We
love the Kane Center. They're big advertisers with us.
Oh, they are an amazing venue. Amazing
beautiful
venue.
place.
They have been wonderful to work with. So we have our a third comedy show coming up August 29th with a comedian out of Arizona named Eric O'Shea. I
feel like I've heard of him.
He's so funny, but what's hard for us to find every year is a clean comedian.
Yes, because you want families to come to this,
right? Well, if we want families, but also we don't want to have like a dirty comedy show when we're a child-focused organization, even if it is mostly adults there. I just don't want it to be raunchy.
Yes.
Because we are, a family organization. So hard to find a clean comedian. But Eric is hilarious. And so he's coming in from Arizona and doing a show for us on August 29th.
Okay.
And those tickets will be on sale very soon. So just keep a watch on our website for that. And then right now in the spring, we are actually doing a raffle for a $10,000 prize.
Ooh.
So we have a maximum ticket sold of 600 tickets. And we'll draw next Friday night, May 15th.
1 in 600, that's not bad.
It's not
bad. Or the more tickets you buy, the more chances you get.
Exactly. And so the tickets are $100, but you could win $10,000. Worst case, you make a $100 donation to child abuse prevention. It's great.
Which is a tax write-off too.
Exactly. We've had several groups that have all gone in together to buy. $25 a piece or $50 a piece, and if they win it, they're going to split the money. And I think that's an awesome idea too. But anyway, so we're doing that right now. It's called Chance for Change because it's a chance for you to win $10,000, but a chance for our parents to make that change and break that cycle. So
that's awesome.
Those fundraisers are a big part of what we do. A lot of community support through donations and grants and. That's the hardest part of my job by far.
Finding the money to do things.
Finding the money to make sure that I can keep my staff, paid up and keep growing as we need it because it's a needed program and we could be doing so much more if we had the funding.
If you had the funding.
So.
So if you're a big organization right now that wants to sponsor Pharos, go to pharosparenting.org and find out how.
That's exactly right. The sponsorship information's on the website. Yeah, we have lots of great opportunities to support and truly make a change. I think last year our impact was over 1,200 people right here in our community. 1,200 people that in some way were taught skills, whether that be through classes. We do supervised visitation for the court system. So I didn't even get really to talk much about that. But when a judge orders supervised visitation, when a judge orders that parent needs to visit under supervision with their child.
Right. So if they're in a foster family or something like that, and they're having to come and do that.
Yes.
So
or if there's been domestic violence or some kind of violent crime committed.
Right.
A judge will order that they have to come to us in order to see the child. And so we have 3 playrooms at our facility with cameras, and we have someone in the room watching and someone watching us as well in the back on the camera.
Okay.
Taking notes. We have a lot of, different safety precautions in place to make sure that the child remains safe, that both parties are safe, and that our staff, of course, is safe.
So is that part of the Parent Aid people, or is that something completely different?
That's a different program altogether.
Okay.
So that's we call it's Family Connections. So Leslie is our program director for that, and then we contract monitors that supervise those visits. So those are not employees of us, but they're contracted, trained monitors. Yeah. That come in. And
so y'all do so much more than what I even knew.
Yeah. Yeah. And our newest thing, I didn't even get a chance to really talk about. Our newest addition is Best Beginnings, is our new and expecting parent program. And last February, we started visiting every mother that delivers at Iredell Memorial Hospital. We have a group of volunteers that goes in every single 6 days a week, every day but Sunday. Every morning, and any new mom that's delivered, we go in and we kind of talk to her about who we are and what we offer. And then, does she have any resources that she needs? Does she have a support system when she gets home?
Right.
Is there any, knowledge issues or questions that she has that we can help with? And so we kind of get an idea of how they're feeling immediately, but the biggest thing is that we ask to follow up with them in a couple weeks once they're home.
So you can go by and
so we can go back
and
check on them and make sure that they're not struggling.
Right.
And we kind of catch, that helps us catch postpartum depression. Any issues with safe sleep, making sure they have car seats, all of those things that, maybe they just don't know.
They don't think about it.
They don't think about. They haven't had the opportunity to learn.
It's like you said with some of those grandparents before, that's what they were taught was you can throw that baby in the bed beside you and sleep.
Right.
And that's not always a good thing.
No. And so that really helps us truly with that prevention piece because we're catching it from the very beginning instead of
that's awesome.
Getting a report when the baby is 6 years old. And, from DSS and then having to go in and break habits, we're starting from the very beginning. So we started that last February, in February 25. Okay. So we've just been doing it just over a year. But as of March, we had visited over 380 moms.
Wow.
At the hospital. So that's huge.
But that's a huge impact. I mean.
And they may not need us right now.
Right.
They may not need us in the infant stage or for the first year. But because we talked to them in the hospital and then we called them or touched base with them 2 weeks later, they now remember who we are. Yeah. And they know when they're struggling when the child's a three-nager, or actually 13 and a teenager, they'll remember us and they know that they can call us. So it really is helping kind of get our organization and our program out to all those new parents.
Well, and it kind of made me think about whenever you were talking about 2020 with all the, you were trying to raise funds and stuff like that. One of the biggest ways to get yourself out there is to put yourself in front of people.
Right.
And in that time frame, you weren't able to, and this is the perfect thing to, not really make up, but it's kind of extending your service a little bit.
That's it. And I don't know that we will fully see the impact of visiting every mom for years, because like I said, they may not call us until the child's 3 or 5 or 10, but they'll say, I met you in the hospital 10 years ago.
And that's how I learned about you.
And that's how I learned about you. Right. So I think that it'll what's the word I'm looking for?
It'll culminate over the next year.
It will culminate. There'll be, now another 382 moms this year. That's 700 moms now that know about us. And then one more year is going to be over 1,000 moms.
Here in about 10 or 15 years, you're going to have a whole influx of...
I really need those sponsorship dollars. So please, it'd be nice to be able to just have that out there for every single parent and available.
That's good.
But so it's a great program. I'm very proud of our group and our team. We have a fantastic team.
And again, all of that is for free. Mm-hmm. So all you have to do is ask.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the best part about it.
That it really is.
So again, PharosParenting.org.
That's right.
All right, and there's if I remember right, there's a donate button on there. There's a how to get in touch with us, contact us, referrals,
event information, buy the raffle tickets. Everything's on the website. We keep it.
So you can buy the raffle tickets online?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. We might have to pitch in here at the radio station and do that.
Oh, that would be nice. That'd be great. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it.
It's been fun.
We might have to have you on again to talk about the upcoming events that you've got going on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But,
all right. Thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Community Spotlight. Again, if you know anybody in the community that is doing good things for the community, send me an email, ron.wameradio@gmail.com, and we will love to have them on. We'll talk about their organization. We'll talk about what they do and get the word out for you. So we will talk to you next time. Take care.